Today's episode is serving double duty because this is the episode that we are sending our clients that explains where all their final branding assets live. But I also think it's going to be a useful episode for anyone who is trying to run their brand online to keep their files organized and stay consistent with how they use their assets. So without further ado, I'm going to break it down so that you can come back to this as a reference and really know where and how your brand lives once we've done handoff. Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. If you've listened to the show for a while or you've gone through the FAQs of our site or you're a client of ours, you know that we deliver branding assets in two places. First is Canva and second is Google Drive. I want you to think about these as two different things. And the analogy that I keep coming back to is your Google Drive is like your bunker or your pantry or your garage storage for your food after you go to Costco. Your Canva is your kitchen. So what I mean by that is all of your stuff we're going to store in your Google Drive, but when you need to use your branding on a regular basis in like an active day-to-day kind of way, it's going to be in Canva. The reason is because we want to make sure that we have a duplicate of all of your branding assets. So when we hand off the brand design to you, you're getting that Google Drive link. It's really, really, really important that you first and foremost bookmark that so you can find it easily, but also that you want to download all of the assets in that drive and save it to wherever your company functions. Maybe you're more Dropbox people, or you're going to be adding it to Microsoft or a server that's internal to your team. Make sure you have a duplicate of that so we can come back to it. Our team pays for like an infinity amount of storage on Google Drive. That's part of what your project fee goes towards, is making sure that we can have those backups. And in your Google Drive, you'll see everything from your brand nested into different folders. So there will be a folder called branding. If you're doing a packaging project, there'll be a folder called packaging, website, folder called website, et cetera, et cetera. But more often than not, the first instance that you're interacting with our team with this Google Drive is where your brand questionnaire is stored. So when we're going through that brand questionnaire one-on-one together, that's already stored in your file based on when you submit that form. So we have that information. We also record all of our team meetings. So any call that you're on with us, discovery call, check-in call, strategy call, gets recorded. That recorded also gets stored in your drive. So there will be a folder in there called meeting recordings. So we can always come back to them. We can download the transcripts. We have a great timestamp. We can build behind the scenes content, etc. In the branding folder, there's going to be subfolders called logos, fonts, supporting elements, maybe brand and stock photography. And then within those folders, there's even more folders. So in your logos folder, there will be a folder per type of logo. Maybe it's your submark logo, your main logo, your horizontal, your expanded, your vertical, your multicolor logo, whatever that looks like. In those folders, and I know it's like sounds like Russian nesting doll, this is on purpose, there will be folders per file type. So the types of files that we hand over at the end of the branding process go a little bit like this. You will have PNGs, which are your transparent, most used, I guess you could say, version of your logo. Then you will have SVG for scalable vector graphics. This will come into play on the Canva side of things. You have PDF, which will be great for sending for signage, large scale, any kind of like if you're ordering merch, things like that. And you will also have the Illustrator file of that logo. The Illustrator files you cannot open if you don't have Illustrator. So trying to send Illustrator or open Illustrator when you don't have the Adobe Illustrator programs is going to be pretty impossible. You almost never need to open that, but we like to keep it in your drive so that we have that backup and we can come back to it if needed. So in the Illustrator file will be all of the versions of your logos, all of the versions in all of the colors. So again, we don't recommend just sending that Illustrator file to like a sign printer or a packaging designer, for example, because it's going to have all the things in it. But between PNG, SVG, and PDF, you should have all the file types that you need. That being said, if you have a particular use case where you need it to be a certain size, feel free to reach out to us. We can get you very specific sizing for your logos. But for the most part, PNG, SVG, PDF, and Illustrator files will be what is inside the logos folder in your branding folder in your Google Drive. The other folders in there would be like your stock and AI assets. So photos, videos, things that we collected, maybe there's sketches, maybe there's renderings along the process that might be useful to you. You may have a folder that's just for your mockups that you saw in your branding presentation, etc. So your Google Drive As I mentioned, functions like your bunker. This is where if you have to go in and grab something, you can, but this isn't where you're spending your day-to-day activity building your branding. Canva, on the other hand, is your kitchen. So we recommend that all of our clients set up on a Canva Pro account. The reason is we want to set up the Canva brand kit for you. So this is part of our service is we go in and we will set your logos, your fonts, your colors, your supporting icons, your photography, everything that you need to run your brand will already live in Canva for you. So you don't need to pull anything from Drive into Canva. It already exists. What you'll notice is in the Canva brand kit, the logos that we upload are SVG files. Remember, I told you we're going to come back to that. So the SVG files, scalable vector graphic files, allow it so that when you add that logo to a design within Canva, you can change the colors of said logo in the color panel. So when you click on the logo, you click it into one of your designs, you click the logo, you click the color panel. So a little circle at the time of recording this, a little circle that you can click on that's the color of the logo. You can then navigate to your side panel. Under that, it'll say brand kit or brand colors, and you can toggle through all your different brand colors. The reason this works is because we don't want to load in like every single iteration of every color combination of your logo into the brand kit because that can be just overwhelming and you end up scrolling forever. So this is where SVGs really save us. Your fonts will also be loaded into Canva. Now, if you chose to go with the fonts that we use in the brand design process, those are often paid fonts. You will need to purchase the license for those fonts. And you can, when you have Canva Pro, upload those fonts into your Canva so you have that consistency. We also like to spec out the Canva font equivalent of the paid fonts. So there may be some variation slightly in the styling of the fonts that are available in Canva versus the fonts that we use to create your brand originally. It really just comes down to use case and personal preference, whether you want to go with the paid fonts via like Adobe fonts, Google fonts, etc., or if you're just going to stick with, you know what, I'm going to stick with the best match in Canva. Either way, we're going to specify those in your Canva brand kit. So your Canva brand kit, like I said, logos, fonts. We'll also add in the hex tones for all the colors. Color type can get very complicated. So you have hex, you have RGB, you have CMYK, and you have Pantone. These are all different color languages or color systems, right? So your hex code is a 6-digit and letter combination that speaks to a very specific color, usually in a digital range. So the hex code will be added into Canva. On your brand kit, your one-page brand guide cheat sheet, those will be hex codes. Now, if you need something for print, that's going to be CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those will be those are 4 numbers scaled 1 to 100 that will tell you what that color is. So in the full service brand design scope, we include hex, CMYK, RGB, and Pantone. RGB really just referring to the red, green, blue version of whatever that is. Again, another language of color. The last step of that is Pantone. So Pantone has developed its own color matching system that allows you to retain color quality from digital to print, textile to vinyl to paint. A lot of flexibility within that. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty, but there aren't always Pantone colors of the colors we've designated in your branding. So we sometimes have to compromise and find versions of Pantone colors that are the next best match to what you have in your brand. There is flexibility within that. So this is really going to come down to the use case of your specific brand. If you are doing packaging, if you are doing, print materials that are extra specific about having your brand color, we may want to designate that Pantone earlier in the process. But that'll come about in your brand questionnaire. So if you're listening to this now and we never talked about Pantone, it's because it's really overkill for what you need. So of your brand kit in Canva, again, you have your logos, you have your fonts, you have your colors. Underneath that, there's a section to add icons and graphics. Those will be added in, again, SVGs, so that you can change the color quite easily. Underneath that, brand photography, so we can put all your photo videos in there. As you've heard me say time and time again on this podcast, what worked in 2024 for social media management is not the same as what's going to cut it in 2025. Platforms are shifting, algorithms are chaotic, and keeping up feels like playing whack-a-mole in the wild, wild west. That's exactly why we made our 2025 social media webinar. This is the deck that we actually sent to our clients. It's 65 slides long. And in the 45-minute webinar, I basically walk you through all the platforms, who owns them, their involvement with the current political administration, what are the pros and cons of each platform, what content performs best, as well as what our team would need for strategy, content creation, and posting and engagement to run the strategy on behalf of your brand. So whether you're a small business owner looking to work with us, or you're also a social media manager or creative just trying to get a better grip of the social media landscape, this is a resource you're going to want to take advantage of. You want to head to our website, MKW Creative Co/resources. So mkwcreative.co/resources. This is the 2025 social media webinar. And just for you, I included the one-pager reference guide that we've also sent to our clients to really give you the full menu of options in one big flash sheet. So take advantage of it, or hit the link in the show notes to get access to our 2025 social media webinar, because it is wild out there and you shouldn't have to figure it out by yourself. Good luck. Enjoy. And then there's a section in the Canva brand kit called Brand Voice. This is where we want you to take that brand recipe from phase 1 of your project. So basically the condensed ChatGPT workshopped version of the long form brand questionnaire that we gave back to you to confirm, are these your brand values? Does this all sound good? Are we on the right track? That will be in the one pager of the brand recipe. So we want to take that information, plug that into the Canva brand kit so that it has your brand voice. Get it? Got it? Good? Cool. So your brand kit will be loaded up with all of your stuff. Now, again, Canva is your kitchen. Google Drive is your bunker. This is your garage. This is where your pantry. This is where you store all your ingredients, right? So whenever you're designing something in Canva, you can really easily navigate over to the side panel. It's all the way on the left, and you can click on Brand Kit. That will populate up that whole kit I was just talking about. So it'll show your logos, your fonts, your colors, your photography, your graphics, etc. So let's say you're making a flyer or an invitation. It's really easy to pull over like your pattern and your logo and your fonts and lay out everything in the design based on what we've designated as being part of your branding. If for some reason, like something falls apart and you can't figure out how to get the branding back together on the Canva side, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can always shoot us an email, hello@mkwcreative.co, or you can go pull it from the bunker, right? So you can go into the Google Drive, you can pull that forward and put it right back into your Canva. The 2.0 of this episode is really how you run your Canva on a regular basis. So one of the things that we really try to implement with clients that we work on an ongoing retainer basis is finding good digital organization structure to the Canva account and mirroring that with whatever is going on the Google Drive. Because remember, maybe you don't want all your team members to have access to everything, and maybe you want to have backups in case Canva goes down, alternatively, in case Google Drive goes down. You want to make sure that you're hedging your bets here, right? You're keeping your stuff in lots of places. So to us, good Canva hygiene looks a little something like this. You'll notice that when you're in Canva, you have this huge list of all your open projects, right? Like maybe you started a new project and it's just called Untitled, and there's 60 of them and you can't find the thing that you were looking for. The biggest tip is just name your Canva files. Name it what it is with the date, underscore who it's for, like find some kind of consistent naming to really organize your file types. The next part of that is creating folders within your Canva. So, for example, our team, we have folders for clients versus internal. So like internal things go in the internal folder, client things go in the client folder. In the client folder, we have that broken down into more folders. So we'll have like the current year, so 2025, and then we'll have a folder called 2024 and older. In the 2024 and older folder is where we organize all of our clients alphabetically. Just like when you go to the dentist's office or the doctor's office, and they have all the files on the wall and it's alphabetical by last name. We're doing them alphabetical by business name. And so the A folder will have all the A projects, the B projects, C projects, right? So on and so forth, so that we have that digital record that we can lean back on to be able to go find the assets that we need, and that things just aren't living perpetually in the upload section of Canva. So it does take 2 or 3 extra steps to make sure that when you're putting something into Canva, it's going in the right place. But the organization, the benefit of having it organized on the back end is that it makes it so much easier to do your content ongoing. For example, Faulkner and Gallagher Real Estate Group, they host an event with the art museum every year called Art in Bloom. Because we were organized last year and we made a folder in the 2024 folder that was called Art in Bloom, we could go back, grab all the logos we needed, the photos from last year, the videos, all the assets were accessible to us. And that's huge, right? So if you're hosting events, if you're creating digital downloads or workshops, if you have client projects, like how you organize your client projects so that you can go back and grab what you need and you're not searching endlessly or scrolling endlessly within Canva is a huge asset to your business. And the sooner you implement that kind of organizational structure, the better you'll be for it. So could not recommend that enough. Keeping your Canva organized and going through and also deleting things that you don't need. So Canva is your kitchen, just like when you clean out the fridge and you throw out the stuff that's moldy, you want to make sure that you're well stocked in all the different departments, right? You got your dairy, you got your grains, you've got your proteins, your veggies in the veggie drawer. Like there's all of these different analogies we can use for staying organized and how that makes you better at the actual creative part when you're not spending hours and hours and hours scrolling for what you're looking for. From there, you can even get even better with your Canva and your Google Drive by creating databases of content. So something that we do as part of our structure and our service is we record and document everything, right? So I may be live streaming on TikTok, and then I might also be screen recording, and I might also be taking screenshots or grabbing things from Pinterest, like keeping everything that's relating to one effort together on both Google Drive and Canva is really helpful when we go to make our portfolio posts, right? When we go to share about the project or the transformation that happened. You could maybe transpose this to someone who's like an online educator. Let's say that you host a workshop. Make sure that all the promotional materials for that workshop and all of the process of making that workshop, all of your behind the scenes, all of your time lapse, all of your interviews, everything is living together, right? So all of that feels archival and all of that is connected so that by the time you go to post it on social media or regurgitate it as a blog or share it as a work sample, you have all of the things, all of the ingredients to really showcase what it is that you were able to do. So again, that's your Canva organization. And then to really mirror that, consider mirroring that with your Google Drive. So use your Google Drive folder structure to be similar to what you've got going on Canva so that the two things, you're kind of double checking yourself. You're crossing your T's, dotting your I's. You've got things in both places. I know this is a lot of information. You know that I like to talk fast. So if you need to listen again, go back to the beginning. This is a nice, quick, short, sweet episode about the difference between your Canva and your Google Drive account and how those two things function on behalf of your brand. So your Canva is your kitchen. That's where all your active ingredients are, all your fresh ingredients. Your Google Drive is going to be your storage. That's your bunker. That's your garage. That's your pantry. That's where you're keeping all the extras of stuff, right? You're keeping those duplicates. You're keeping the source files. You're keeping the stuff that maybe you don't need to access it every day, but when you do need it, you know that it's there. I hope this was helpful to you. If you loved this episode, don't forget to send it to a friend, share it, save it, all of those good things. And if you're a client of ours, hopefully this was a nice little way to sum up what we were able to hand off to you. Of course, if you need more help with any of your other branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, digital, print, social, merch, like all of the things that you know our team loves to do, we'd love to help you with them. You can always reach out hello@mkwcreative.co or submit on the contact form on our website, which is mkwcreative.co/contact. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time.